Eins, zwei, drei, super! Tiki Zacke, Tiki Zacke! Hoi, hoi, hoi! Tiki Zacke, Tiki Zacke! Hoi, hoi, hoi! Prost!
Prost, the willow tree is wunderbar.
We make it happen. it's that simple. The guests, when they come here, they're supposed to have a smile on their face when they think about coming here. And when they leave, they're supposed to think about when they're coming back the next time. And the way you do that is by creating a possible, an awesome experience with good food, some awesome beers, and when we have the music on, it's always going to be good.
Gemütlichkeit.
Gemütlichkeit?
Gemütlichkeit.
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 Gemütlichkeit. Gemütlichkeit.
Gemütlichkeit.
Gemütlichkeit.
Gemütlichkeit.
Gemütlichkeit.
Gemütlichkeit.
Gemütlichkeit.
Gemütlichkeit.
Gemütlichkeit. Gemütlichkeit.
Well, I tell everybody it works for me, they have to make Gemütlichkeit happen. They have to make people smile. It means a sense of well-being while enjoying good food and drink amongst friends and family. Right? I grew up with my grandparents mostly, and so we made all the sausage, and we went to every soccer game, every Oktoberfest, or every fest there was every weekend. And we would make the sausages and get the bread and all that stuff, and that's what I grew up with. So every summer, it's what I did, and it was magical. I met Linda in, 1981 or 1980? I always think 1981 or 82. 1981 or 82, somewhere around there. She came in to buy concert tickets at a place I was working called the Infinite Mushroom, and 6 months later, we finally had a date, and we've been inseparable and happily ever since.
I met Theo in the early 80s, and he was working at Colonial Plaza Mall in the Infinite Mushroom. And I went to buy tickets, and I fell in love with him the first time I talked to him. He was just so different, and I really couldn't not stop thinking about him. And I worked at Ponderosa Steakhouses at the time, and he would always call in the middle of lunch rush. And I would answer the phone and say, I really want to talk to you, but I can't because we're in the middle of lunch rush. And so, but please call me back later. And then so he would call me in the middle of the dinner rush. And I have to say, no, I really do want to talk to you, but I can't talk to you right now. And that was his introduction to the restaurant business of when not to call your girlfriend. I never ever wanted to get married or have children. I was young and free, and I enjoyed my freedom, but for some reason, he just totally changed my mind about that. He says, well, if we're gonna live together, I think we should just get married. And I actually slid and fell off the bar stool onto the floor because I was just totally flabbergasted, because inside I really did want to marry him, even though it was way too soon. So he didn't officially again ask me for another year. And when he did that, he did it in a hot air balloon. He woke me up before dawn, blindfolded me, took me out to this big field out in the middle of nowhere, and there was a hedge wall, and I could hear this weird sound, this whoosh behind the hedgerow, and then all of a sudden I saw the hot air balloon inflating over the edge of the bushes, and he was very cute. He said, I already asked you before, but here, just take this ring and put it on so you don't drop it over the edge. It was very cute.
Our dream was to open a German restaurant. I didn't want to work that hard for somebody else, neither did Linda. And we said, we're going to create our own German restaurant. We dug out our business plan, and they tried to tear it apart, and they really couldn't. So that gave us a lot of confidence that it might work. And then in 2001, early 2001, we get a call from Linda's sister Mary and her brother-in-law Don, telling us about the Willow tree being up for sale.
Years ago, when we ran our business down here, we would go to lunch at a small German cafe right downtown where the Willow tree is located today. And we were down there was a group of us down there, and it became aware to us that the lunch cafe was for sale. So when we saw this, Mary, Linda's youngest sister, she called them, let them know about it, and they came down and met Ellen, who owned the restaurant at that time, and the rest was history.
We made Ellen an offer here for the restaurant, and she agreed. And so with $60,000, we started this business.
And then I think it was maybe he was 2 years into the restaurant, maybe even a little less, and they tear up all of First Street, which was very difficult on the downtown businesses, very difficult for him just starting out, very scary. And then on top of that, the hurricanes, the 3 hurricanes came that summer.
So we got hit with a lot of different conflicts. With there was hurricane season that year. It was like Francis and a bunch of other ones, all back to back. The power was out for weeks. They were also doing a street closure on First because they were redoing the brick, and it was going to be long-term a great thing for Sanford, which obviously it has been, but at the time it was very difficult to get through. And the hurricanes brought the best out of the community, though.
When we had the roadway completely torn up, I was on the CRA at that time, and I remember walking across the plank to go see him. It was almost like walking the plank to go in there because the road was all torn up. You had to walk across, planks and roads and turns and to get in there. And I remember it was kind of this quaint little place. They were just really kind of making the attempt to change it from what it was and changing the image into the real German style. I remember sitting there going, for the love of me, I hope this place makes it. I hope it makes it, because we really put a hurting on everybody along that roadway. So we'd spend as much time as possible going in there. They stayed put. They stayed there. They grew. They bought the building. They've cleaned the whole place up, and they're a destination. They're truly one of the only destinations that we have in downtown Sanford.
It was a challenge and an opportunity, because I think that's when we got on the map. Before then, we were like under the radar. And because the street was closed and the hurricanes hit Sanford, we lost our awning, we lost power for a week. But our vendors gave us refrigerated trucks to keep our food cold. We had gas and we had lanterns so we could cook.
It wasn't very vibrant. There wasn't a whole lot going on. When we had the roadway closed up, they were doing most of their business out the back door, and going to other places, delivering their food and their goods and really kind of growing it. But what they've done, like I said, because it's a destination, I mean, they have created, they've kind of been the catalyst to create everything else that's gone both ways down the first quarter, and now we're seeing it up Sanford Avenue too, almost trying to duplicate what that is. We just truly need a willow tree on Sanford, or like a willow tree on Sanford Avenue too. It's truly been a catalyst for our downtown corridor, for nightlife and daylife.
The willow tree started off as a solid anchor in this town, and that, at one point, I remember that was the only thing that was here. I mean, you had antique shops, but they all closed very early, so as far as entertainment goes, you basically had this and the alley. And since then, it's grown and expanded even further. Like, I see the waits getting longer and longer every single time I walk by, which isn't a bad thing at all. And it's the experience you guys deliver here, but what it's done for the town is pretty fantastic, because it's inspired other businesses to come in, open up, and develop. Of course, Buster's Bistro, we had a lot of faith in this town, knowing that a concept like this, which was, uniquely German, we assumed that a uniquely Belgian place would also be equally successful, and it has been.
By far, it's truly, the most unique place in downtown Sanford, and maybe one of the most unique places in Central Florida.
Starting the restaurant while I was still in high school. We still lived in Orlando, Florida, and I was going to Edgewater High School. And we didn't actually move to Sanford until 2005 when I graduated. So when I started at the Willow Tree, I was still doing my own stuff back home in Orlando, and both my parents were working 15, 18-hour days starting the business. And so I was left alone a lot, but I usually only saw my parents when I actually came to work.
Being self-employed is tough, because you can't complain about the boss, because you are the boss. And working with family has a tremendous amount of joy. It also has a lot of difficulty. because there is no going home, there is no going away, there is no getting away from it. It's there, and sometimes you really have to be creative to talk about something other than work because it's so consuming. But it is very, very rewarding at the same time. I think the most important thing is, when you work with family, is to learn to trust and communicate.
It's very interesting to work with family. There are ups and downs, but anything, it's made us stronger as a family because you will always love each other. So all the stupid little things that happen don't matter. The point is that you learn to communicate together.
And we have our functions and dysfunctions, but the thing of it is we have a simple goal: creating Gemütlichkeit and making the world a little bit better place. Or actually Sanford. I can't make the world a better place, but I can make Sanford a better place. And I think that's what appeals to me so much, because I know I can make a difference here. And that's what makes this town so great, because you participate in this town, you will be able to make a difference.
I moved to Sanford after we had the restaurant for a few years. We waited for Christina to graduate high school at Edgewater before we moved from College Park to Sanford. And I had commuted to Sanford for a long time because I worked for my sister and her husband, Donna and Judy Schreiner, and I had been commuting to Sanford for a long time. And I was pretty tired of it. And I really believed in Sanford.
I'm in love with Sanford. I bought my home here in 2012, maybe 2013, and I never leave Sanford. All my friends from back home in Orlando tease me about never going out anywhere over there because I just don't want to. I always tell them, come here. It's, we've got lots of variety, places to go, things to do, and it's a true sense of community where everybody knows each other and you're never alone when you go out in Sanford.
I've always been more of a Sanford kind of guy. It's a big town with a small town feel, and it kind of reminds me somewhat of my small town of 1,000, where we kind of all hang out together, support each other, and make each other better. In most cases, we've got our eccentrics and we got our crazies, but mostly everybody's pretty cool. Golden Girls, it's the fun part about this is you meet people, right? And Kathy and Dottie came here, the restaurant, and at first you recognize that they come in, they were having a good time, and whenever Jimmy and Eckhart were here or Jimmy was playing, they would be here. They created that sense of fun and excitement.
This is our second home. We come all the time.
I kept getting asked to go. We brought more people, and they kept moving us closer to the band.
They kind of became the grandmas of our restaurant.
I think they're still going full blast here.
Yeah.
It's not gonna, this is what keeps Sanford alive, is the willow tree.
Yeah.
I mean, really, if the willow tree wasn't here, we wouldn't come down here to Sanford. We have a reservation for 56 people for August 1st. 56 people already that's coming from the German club.
They include us in everything.
Everything. We're like their old grandmothers.
Yeah.
Well, Theo gave us that.
Yeah.
Because we kept bringing more and more people, and he didn't know our name, so he gave us the Golden Girls. And we even have a plaque on the band that says the Golden Girls that we got.
Yeah.
Where'd you grow up? New York.
You can't tell?
We had this most awesome wedding, and Christina's been here all her life, and then she got married in March, and she decided basically to replicate our wedding, and she invited all friends, guests, and neighbors from the community to attend her wedding, and it was a most joyous occasion. It brought a lot of people together. Again, we created Gemütlichkeit.
Sanford Royal Wedding. There would be no better place to have the wedding than here at the restaurant because, these people are my family, the people who work here, the guests, the community, and I can't imagine sharing a moment like that and not having those kind of people present.
I actually officiated the Hollerbach wedding that happened here, the event of Sanford. So far in 2016, I don't think anyone's going to be able to match that. I've never seen so many people in Sanford in one area. And it was, that was a great experience. So I got the pleasure and the honor of performing that wedding.
We were open for about a year, and they were doing a live after fives. We just started doing a live after five, so actually it was about 2 years. and the city had some funds for entertainment. And I convinced them that October we should do Oktoberfest. So I got the city to pay for Jimmy to perform at Oktoberfest. And he didn't even know why the hell somebody in Sanford picked him to come up here. And he shows up, and there we are.
Oh, Jimmy and Eckhart are very interesting.
It's polka, it's oompa, it's folk music, it's Americana music, it's old Italian standards.
One of the most amazing things about Jimmy and Eckhart is they do nearly the same show 4 days a week. But every time they do it, it feels like it's the first time. It never feels staged, it never feels even rehearsed.
They ended up getting married in 83, and I played at their wedding. And so that's how I met Taylor and Linda. And what really impressed me when I first saw their business card was right under the title of the restaurant, they had where Gemütlichkeit happens. I'm thinking, wow, he has a vision, they have a vision. And you know what? This is where Gemütlichkeit happens.
The restaurant has gone through a lot of expansions. Initially, we opened in 2001, and it was just the middle room that's in front of me, and it has black and white tiles. We've actually left those tiles here over the entire 15 years because it's a reminder of how small we were when we started. And even the entertainment used to be in this tiny corner over there, and we used to do entertainment once a month. The kitchen has only expanded twice, so they have a very tight space to work with, and it's amazing that they can get as much food out of that kitchen as they do with the space that they have available, which is also another reason why we bought Magnolia Square Market in Delhi, I believe in 2010, 2011, around there.
The market wasn't to build a market, was to expand our kitchen. We needed more prep space and storage space too because we got so big. So when we expanded from 180 seats to 312, we needed more kitchen space and storage space. And so when we got that building, it gave us the opportunity to also do the market. And the market was kind of fun for me because it reminded me when I was a little kid, because I grew up in the butcher shop behind the counter, and it's, that was my favorite. That was one of my favorite spaces. So the market is kind of like my baby.
We were able to open up Hollerbock's Art House 2 years ago.
Hollerbock's Art House is a studio, my studio, and a gallery. We have the works of several different local artists, plus art that I purchase and buy during art festivals and shows. And we also create an experience. I love the most about it is having beading classes where we make jewelry. We call it freestyle beading. So we don't make a particular project every week. We make something totally creative, something that there's only one of a kind for each of the individual people.
This is a company that my mom and I started together, and it's been a great kind of microorganism for me to study, because one of the main things I haven't really covered in the restaurant is finances. So opening my own business allowed me a lot of independence and a smaller scale to understand the back of house operations that no one thinks about for a restaurant but are still really important to making it successful.
We had a little setback. My wife got diagnosed with cancer in 2009 or 10, and that took us back. We had to make, we stopped growing the business and focused on her getting recovered.
So when I was diagnosed, it didn't really affect the Willow Tree very much, but it did affect the market. It put us behind schedule for about a year. And I spent roughly a year in treatment, and then 2 years in a total fog. They call it chemo brain, but it takes a long time to recover sometimes. I like what Theo always says, you have a new normal. You lose some things, you lose some function, but eventually it becomes the new normal. And if you accept it and keep going forward and keep trying to improve that new normal, you get better and better all the time. One of the things that I enjoyed about being sick was taking out all of my art supplies. Because once we opened the restaurant and moved here, everything was packed up and never even got unpacked. One of the things that I made was my cancer journey painting. And the night before my surgery, I had a vision of this, of my body wasting away and turning all gray and dark, and the blue lines are what they actually had painted on me. And I painted it the morning I went to surgery. I was going through all the cards and letters and emails people sent me, and I'm not very sentimental, so I actually threw them all in the trash, but it just felt so wrong. So I cut a piece out of every card and email, and I put it onto the collage. And so a little piece of all those well wishes stay with me. Every time I went to chemo, I came home and put some beads on the belt. It was my metaphor for having another treatment under the belt. And so there it is.
Which, by the way, she's been cancer-free since then, so that's all good news.
So the rumor that Theo is actually going to retire in 2020 is a very heavy statement.
No, that's never been a rumor. You know, after you do something for 20 years, it's time to do something else.
As time grew on, I felt at home at the restaurant. Everything here makes sense to me, and the fact that it is our family and our name and our heritage, and we grew to get so connected with everyone that worked here, there was no doubt in my mind that this was what I was going to do for the rest of my life. Very confident that with the team of people that we already have that have been here for so long, my own experiences and my parents still as a guiding force, we will continue to make the restaurant grow in maybe even surprising ways.
First year we did $280,000 in sales. We're over $5 million. So we have 7 employees, we now have 84. And that's probably the part I enjoy the most, is that we've made such a difference in the lives of the people that visit us as guests in a positive way, but really we've made a really big difference in the lives of our staff and our personal lives. How, you know, I always tell people I'm one of the few people that can say I'm an immigrant and I'm living the American dream for real.
Prost! The willow tree is wunderbar.
My favorite Theo moment?
Kind of Theo moments.
So many to choose from.
My favorite Theo moment, there's quite a few. The hurricanes.
Oh my gosh. Favorite Theo moment, huh? There's a few.
There's a Theo moment for you. Theo had told me that when he was in California he had a perm, and he really liked it. So he went to Fashion Square Mall and he got a perm. And I didn't watch, I was out shopping, and then when I came back and he came out, I laughed. I could not help myself. It was very, very unusual looking. It was very tight little fro thing going on, and it was sort of lopsided. And he got so upset from me laughing at it that he actually drove away and left me at the mall. But he did come back after about 15 minutes and pick me up, and I learned a valuable lesson. Don't laugh at me.
Happy 15th anniversary, Willow Tree Cafe.
Oh yeah, happy 15th anniversary, guys. Appreciate everything that you do, and you know, keep on doing what you're doing. You'll have years and years of success.
Happy anniversary, Theo, Linda, Willow Tree. Like I said, you have been the catalyst for our downtown, so we love you and greatly appreciate you. And especially from our side, appreciate the fact that you're pro Sanford. Thank you very much. I tried to get that one out before that.
Happy anniversary, Linda and Theo, from Don and Judy.
Willow Tree, Theo, Linda, thank you so much for everything you've done for me and my family. I love this place. I love coming to work. Happy 15.
Anything else you'd like to add?
I need a raise. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Happy 15th anniversary Willow Tree. It wouldn't be the Willow Tree without you. Our guests make Gemütlichkeit. We can make all the food we want, we can play all the music we want, but if you're not there to share it and experience it,